Hello, MotoAmerica World fans, and welcome to a very, 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 very special interview that we have finally lined up. It's been about 10 years in the making. um, yeah, it's an interview that I've been wanting to do for a while. I remember messaging this guy the whole time and saying, "Listen, if you don't answer me back, I'm going to climb on a plane, come to America, and beat it out of you." And he said, "Yeah, that's it. I want to see you, so do it." So I climbed on a plane and went to America last year to the Kota MotoGP run. Saw him there, hugged him, kissed him, watched him do what he does brilliantly, and that's race a motorcycle around a track. And then since then, still haven't been able to get it right. But finally, our paths have kind of joined up, and we've been able to put this interview together. And I know a lot of you, not only South African fans, but fans from all around the world, have just been hassling me. Uncle Rob, when are you going to speak to Cam and Maddie Scholz? When are you going to speak to Cam and Maddie Scholz? And I'm like, but I'm trying. I promise you, I'm trying. The cell phone signal in America is terrible. They don't get, they're not getting the messages or something. But anyway, as I said, our stars have finally aligned, and I'm very excited for this chat because uh, it's a person that I've known, kind of like the Binders from when they were tiny little boys running around, throwing snot at me and stealing my knee sliders and mine and Sheridan stuff, and just being those little pain in the ass kids. But we always knew that they were gonna, there were stars in their career. They were always going to be something magical, and this kid, like all of the South African riders that race in various championships across the world, it hasn't been an easy path. It really hasn't. And yeah, I'm really excited to talk to this guy because not only is he a good mate of mine, I am a massive fanboy, as I am with all of these South African riders. And yeah, from a media point of view, it's great coverage as well, being able to expose these top South African talents. So thank you so much for joining us. Already a lot of people joining us: John McLaughlin, Didi Dorfling, Brink Heidemann, Mike Teal, David Oos. I hope I said that right, David Oos. Ace. I'm British now, so I can't say the Afrikaans things as well as I used to. Jonathan Murphy's joining in. So yeah, thank you for joining us, and please just fire questions away. It's going to be a very casual chat. Beverly Odendaal. Beverly Odendaal. Hello, Rob. Thank goodness you have eventually got Cam. Beverly, I do. I eventually have got the superstar nephew of yours. Shane Foley, Jason Rathbone. Everyone is joining us now from all over the world. So yeah, as I said, it's going to be a very casual chat. Throw in the comments and the questions if you have any, and I'll try and keep up with all of them on the side that we can fire away at the superstar that is. Ladies and gentlemen, a standing ovation, a big round of applause for Mr. Cam Petersen. Mr. Cam Petersen. Cam, how are you doing, my bud?
I'm good, Rob. How you doing?
Yeah, all good, thanks. You like that intro? Was it good enough? Was it American enough? Like I'm trying to make you like a WWE superstar, like
Yeah. I
Cam
don't think
Peterson,
I don't think I'm that special.
stadium.
I don't think I'm that special. But yeah, here we are. And like you said, I'm sorry this took so long, but I'm super happy and pumped to be here and chatting to you. And yeah, obviously I miss everybody at home, so just happy to be here.
That's the nice thing about these chats is it's a piece of South Africa. It's just two South African guys having a chat, about racing and bikes, and that's the casual side of this. I know that the press can sometimes be a bit demanding and a bit. I know the whole deal, but this is just guys that love motorcycle racing and mates at the end of the day. Do you recognize this jacket, by the way?
I did. Did you wear that just for me?
No. I live in this thing, and it's a great story because I actually wore it out to a cousin's dinner tonight at a pub, and I was wearing it, and they were like, "That's such a cool Alpine Star jacket." And when anyone says that to me, I say, "Oh, let me tell you the story of how I got this Alpine Star jacket." So for everyone out there, let me quickly tell you the story. I fly to Kota MotoGP last year. Obviously, MotoAmerica's racing, the support class. I see Cam Petersen, Maddie Scholz, everyone. After the Sunday night, we go out in the town for a catch up and a hangout. Maddie Scholz, Cam Petersen, Fabio Quartararo was there, Miguel Oliveira, Brad Binder. We're all having a jaw, and I see this jacket lying on the floor. So I pick it up and I go, "Whose jacket is this?" So Cam goes, "Well, I think it's my jacket." I said, "Yes, this is such a cool jacket." He's like, "No, Uncle, you have it." So I'm like, "No, man, it's your jacket." He's like, "Uncle, please." just have this jacket. So I put it on and I said, there's no way it's going to fit me because you're this like, trimmed, amazing athlete. And I'm this former has-been athlete, dad bod, everything. And I put it on and it fit perfectly. And he's like, you can have it. So, and I took it. Listen, I'm one of those guys that when you offer something, I take it. And ever since that day, I wear it proudly and I tell that story to whoever is willing to listen. So yeah, Cam Petersen gave me this jacket, sponsored me this jacket.
Well, that's it. If you want more stuff, you're just going to have to come to America. I'll hook you up every time.
Done deal. I'm on my way. I'm on my way. Michael Pell, Cambo, my brother, is saying hello. John McLaughlin, South African flags. Cam the man. Watch you on YouTube all the time. Hoy Mealies. What's this? Superfly Gaming. That's a really cool name. Cam, we're obviously gonna, we're gonna talk quite a lot going into the past. There might be some tears involved. We're gonna have to get some tissues because of the story that's been. Then we're gonna kind of catch up to the more modern day stuff. You've obviously been over in America for a while now. And this is the tricky part. The Petersen name is massive in South African motorcycle racing and abroad. And you would think that name would just give you this beautiful golden path, like this beautiful red carpet path into motorcycle racing, but it hasn't been that way. And, I've followed your path a lot in the early days of American racing. Just give us, a lot of us have watched the tenacity and a lot of kind of stories that you've put out there and documentaries, but give us kind of the highlighted version of the trip to Cam Petersen becoming this now well-known factory-supported rider in MotoAmerica.
Yeah, like we said, Rob, I mean, everybody's got their story but yeah, it just wasn't as easy as we thought it was going to be coming to America. And, obviously the couple of years before I came to America, I had some success in South Africa. And, yeah, me and my dad just kind of thought about it, whether to go to Europe or come to America, and America was the decision. But yeah, like when we first got here, obviously America, the AMA series had just been taken over by Chuck Axlin and Wayne Rainey. So it was a brand new series. And before then, American racing had taken a big hit with the recession and all that. So yeah, we didn't expect it to be that hard. And, yeah, first few years coming to America, I mean, me and my dad struggled so much. I mean, we, lived in a trailer and just tried to do everything possible. And I don't think people realize how good the talent is in America. And when I first came over, I mean, those guys, they were just smoking me. So yeah, those first few years, it was pretty tough, but we were able to make it happen, and it just seemed like every year towards the end of the year, I kind of started to find my feet and get the ball rolling. And but like I said, there was just no money, no support in America unless you were like the top 4 or 5 guys in superbikes. So those first few years were a struggle. And first year I came over, raced the R6 for Road Race Factory. And again, halfway through the season, we found a setting on the bike, found out we had a shock that was pretty much an experimental shock on the bike. So changed that, and then all of a sudden was able to fight for top 5s and podiums and run with those guys. And, back then in 2015, the 600 class was stacked. It was Josh Heron, Bobby Fong, Garrett Gerloff, JD Beach. I mean, as stacked as it gets. And then, so yeah, was able to do something. And then, John Ulrich and Chris Ulrich, they run the M4 Suzuki team. They got in contact with me, and again, obviously those first few years we were just paying for everything. Like I said, there wasn't any support, so it was a struggle. And obviously my dad paying out of his back pocket was pretty rough on him. But so yeah, I went and raced the Suzuki 600 in 2016. And honestly, I had a great season. I got my first win that year, got a bunch of podiums. I think I finished 4th in the championship, but was always kind of there in the mix. And again, thought I'd done enough to maybe secure a ride, and then was just left with nothing. So again, going into 2017, my dad had to fork out a little bit more money to Dave Anthony, who runs Aussie Dave Racing. So he provided a stock 1,000 for me to go race, and went and raced that. And actually, my first race at Coda that year, obviously the stock and the superbikes were combined, and I think I ended up qualifying 5th overall. And yeah, I felt like maybe that was going to be where I was going to start to kind of make my run into something good. And then unfortunately, second race of the season, I had a pretty big crash on the Friday, and steering damper put a hole in the frame. And like I said, obviously, me and my dad were kind of struggling at that point, and we had to pay for crash damages and all that. So we sat back and had a conversation, and we just stepped away from racing. Decided to put the family first, and yeah, honestly, 2017 was probably the hardest year of my life. I mean, as broke as can be, luckily Jake Gagne actually put me up in his house in San Diego without paying rent or anything, but I had no money to even buy food. I mean, I was honestly like making a smoothie and having that a day, and then maybe buying a pizza and trying to have a slice a day. And so I ended up getting very sick that year, and my body was pretty much eating itself. And yeah, I couldn't, even on my dirt bike, I couldn't do more than 2 laps without throwing up in my helmet. So 2017, I was in a very, very dark place, and stepping away from racing. Pretty much the only thing I know how to do was probably the toughest thing in my life. But we had to put the family first. We had to try grow some roots in America, and see if we could, away from racing, make a life here. Because life's pretty good in America here, and quality of life. It's a place I wanted to call home, and make a home out of it. So we did that, and yeah, luckily 2018, the Danny Walker, who owns Road Race Factory, they had the factory Honda team, factory supported. It was as good as it gets, and yeah, opened up a gift and on Christmas Day, and there was a contract from them saying they wanted me to ride for them. So that kind of sparked the interest again, and determination and motivation. So went and raced the Honda Superbike class, first time in the Superbike class, and it was tough. I mean, getting used to the electronics and everything the bikes can do these days, it was tough. And we were developing the Magneti Morelli system. So honestly, for the first half of the year, kind of same thing, just struggled trying to develop this motorcycle. And then second half of the season, got some results, but that was the end of Honda support. They pulled out, so the team was done at the end of that year. Again, left with nothing. And then 2020 kind of took a step back, went and raced stock 1,000 again. But that's what shaped my career. Raced for Altus Motorsports, George Nassani on a Suzuki GSX 1000, and went and won the stock championship that year, just like Matty had done, and Gagne, and Shez was competitive in the stock 1,000 class as well. So went and won the championship. But I think the main thing that year was not only winning the championship, is when I raced in the Superbike class. There was a few races where I was top 5 in the Superbike class on the stock bike, and just did some good lap times, and battled with the factory supported Suzuki team with Tony Elias and Bobby Fong. There were some races where I was battling with those guys. So I think that opened some eyes. And then going to 2021, the M4 team, which was the factory supported Suzuki team, they gave me a contract and had me go race their bike. And that was just kind of the whole turning point. And, had a successful season in 21, won a Superbike race, got a bunch of podiums, and again, was just always kind of kind of at the front end. I mean, Jake kind of smoked us that year. I mean, he has done for the last couple of years. So that led to the best opportunity I've ever had in my life, and that was to go race for Attack Yamaha. And here we are now racing for the best team in the paddock, and couldn't be happier. It's been a crazy road to get here, but yeah, we made it happen, and here we are.
I just feel like I've watched a Marvel Avengers movie with like all these emotions. It's like, and what makes it so close to home for me is that I had contact with your dad and you throughout some of these periods, and I remember the conversation coming up of in 2017 when Cam's not doing that well. Also through Brad and Darren and the racing community, Brent Taryn. We've all raced at some point together, and we've all kind of stuck together, even though we've gone all these places. That's the beauty with social media and access that we have today, is that we've all, we don't message each other every day, but you still stay in contact somewhere. And
Right.
and it was hard to hear because, I had some really good races with you in the Super Sport Championship in South Africa. I mean, I loved you, but I hated you sometimes because you were the 17-year-old Foss kid and I was supposed to be this 29-year-old established superstar in South African racing, and this little shithead on this old Kawasaki was shoving it on my inside, and I was on my times, and I was so cross, and but I had the utmost respect for you at that stage because when you came in, it's this Petersen kid, he's just going to walk on red roses and red carpets his whole career because he's a Petersen. It's bullshit. And then we worked together when in the Yamaha team with Ricky Moraes and you were on the
2014. Working with you is honestly one of my best years ever. Like, I'll never forget that year. It was so much fun.
It was awesome. It was a tough year. I mean, we crashed a lot and we had good support, but the bikes weren't quite there, and there were lots of ups and downs. But I think us as a team worked so well together. We had Dean Foss in the team, myself, Nick van der Val, and it was just a real awesome team. And that year, I really just saw that it wasn't just this Cam Petersen walking on, a red carpet, and because his surname was Petersen. And following the journey up till now, it's been so up and down. And watching that Tenacity kind of documentary that you put out, that's what kind of spurred me on to do this again, because it was this reminder of what you and the family have been through. And I think people forget the family, your dad as well, in many ways, not just your dad, your whole family, you uprooted everything to go there and make it work. And
they sacrificed everything for me to be here, so. And I mean, honestly, even in South Africa, my story's never been that easy. I kind of had to work for everything, but I'd rather have it that way. And I've seen that with some guys here in America that have had factory rides since they were 15, 16, and you see the way they are now and the way they act and stuff. I'd rather my story be the way it has been than having everything laid out on the red carpet for me. I feel like having that hard road has made me who I am, and going through all those hard times, I'll never let myself get back there. It's a different kind of motivation, and that's why I'm grateful for all those times.
But Cam, at the same time, I'm going to ask you a question, and I can kind of see it, and this is where Brad is so good. I think. And if I look at Jack Miller and I look maybe at you in a little way, because you went through those hard times, now that you're in the big leagues, you're in the factory team, in the main team, do you believe in yourself enough that you belong there and you are championship winning material and you can beat these guys? Or is there this little element that goes, shit, I'm very lucky to be here. Don't do anything wrong to kind of hurt this.
Absolutely. I mean, absolutely. Honestly, there is that, and that's the thing. It's like, even at my first race this year at Atlanta, when I crashed, it's like the team owner, Richard Stamboli, eventually had to tell me, he's like, Cam, we don't care. Just focus on what you're doing, because I do have that sense of I can't mess this up. Any little mistake. And I feel like that hurt me a little bit last year. And it's still a little bit there that I'm not riding to my full potential because I don't want to make any mistakes, and everything's just backed off that 5-10%, which is what you need to be beating Jake and Cam Bobier and those guys. So definitely, I mean, but in a sense, when I first got into the Yamaha team last year, I was also like, all right, now I've made it. Now I need to prove to people that I deserve this. And I did so many stupid stuff in the beginning of the season. I crashed and I was like, watch out, here I come. And that kind of set me back a lot as well. So it's tough. But honestly, this year is the first year where I've never put so much work into, and I feel like it's time. I've got the right people around me. It's the first year in America where I've been on the same team, same bike for more than 1 year. So yeah, honestly, I feel like now is the time that I need to kind of make the most of it, especially with all these guys coming back from Europe, like Cam coming back, and there's not very many rides in the MotoAmerica paddock. So I feel like if you want to keep that ride, you have to perform. So it's tough. It's tough to find that balance and fight that fine line of not wanting to mess it up, but having to go for it, you know?
I think you need to, and I think it's a problem that Darren Binder suffers with, and a lot of South Africans that make the shares, because you're always chasing your tail, trying to make it. You never really fully believing in yourself and fully committing because you don't know what's coming next. And again, if you do something wrong, and I think you need to shut that off. I think you need to believe in yourself. I think we all know and believe in you. I've seen you do things on a motocross bike and a super bike and a 600 that just blows my mind. I know that South African riders, and that's why I put so much time and effort into this. It's because I believe in you guys so much. I watched you at Kota last year, and I promise you the difference that I could see between you and the Jake Gagnes and the Danielo Petrucci's and those guys on track last year was exactly like you said. You were pushing something that wasn't there. You were overriding to try and prove yourself rather than just saying, I am Cam Petersen. I know how to ride a motorcycle, whether it be a motocross bike, a super bike, whatever it is. Give me a motorcycle and I will ride this thing. I remember you in that year that we raced and you were on the 600, I was on the 1,000, and I was really just battling with that 1,000. I had the big crash and I was really suffering. And you had not ridden a 1,000cc superbike. And, Ricky Moraes, the general Ricky Moraes, shut up. Cam, you go do some laps on the superbike at Kailami. And I remember following you on that bike. And by the second lap, I don't even think I could see you. You had climbed on that superbike and you were smoking it. And I was like, for God's sake, this light, he's just climbed on this bike and he's showing me how to ride a superbike. And that's when I knew. I mean, I'd already known, but that's when I knew. And that's the Cam that needs to come out. That comfort zone Cam that I'm going to climb on this motorbike and I'm just going to have fun with it, but I'm going to make it work. So I think, and again, me watching from the sidelines and you kind of saying it now, and it's the same with Darren. And I saw it last year, Darren, in the MotoGP. There was this handbrake of not fully committing and believing in himself. And I think a lot of South Africans suffer from that because of the hard journey and the hard path that they've got to come through. So from me to you, just believe in yourself. Enjoy the experience. Whatever happens is going to happen. But you must know that you have got what it takes to beat Jake Gagne, to beat Johnny Ray, to beat Toprak Razgaard, to beat Brad Binder. You've beaten Brad Binder. You've done it. Growing up, when you were on the same machinery in South Africa, you and Brad tussled it out. Brad beat you, you beat him, but it's there. And I think that's where Brad is so strong. He's just always had that belief. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, no, and that means a lot coming from you, Rob. But yeah, you're 100% right. It is all about that belief. It's about that self belief and having that confidence. But I think Brad's a little bit of a different rider than what he was back then.
Yeah, sure.
Unbelievable. Honestly, he's my hero. And seeing what he did last weekend on that bike was, I don't think there's too many people that have ever ridden a motorcycle, and I'm going back from the beginning of time, that is as talented and has a feel like that guy. So, but no, I mean, that means a lot coming from you. And like I said, it's definitely time to start putting all that worry behind me and focusing on the positives,
Just go and enjoy it and just believe in yourself. Now, take us through. You're on the best team, the best machinery in MotoAmerica today. Yeah, look, Cam Bobia has certainly brought the BMW a lot closer. Maddie's there. The Ducati's always fast with Heron, Petrucci, Loris Baz before. You've ridden the more production, kind of lesser team bikes to a full factory bike. I mean, what is the difference? Is it as big as we kind of think it is?
Absolutely. And honestly, there's been, like, even on the stock bike in 2020 when I rode it, and other bikes in the past, there's been times where I've got the chassis to feel as good as possible, and chassis wise, yeah, there's not that big of a change. I mean, I've ridden bikes in the past where they've just felt unbelievably planted, but the electronics and mainly my crew chief Richard Stamboli, he's the owner of the team. I mean, he developed a MotoGP bike when they kind of had the satellite series, and he went and raced. He developed a MotoGP bike, went and raced it. I mean, the guy is as good as they come, and the electronics on the motorcycle are unbelievable, Rob. I mean, and again, that's what kind of took me a long time, was to trust them, because that's the big difference with me and Jake, is the way he gets to a throttle. It's like, you crack the throttle, build into a little bit, and then it's 100% with crazy amounts of lean angle, and everything in my mind is telling me, if you do that, the thing's going to put you to the moon. So yeah, that's just the big thing, is the amount of grip and the way they accelerate coming out of a corner is unbelievable. And I feel like that's the main thing. It's mainly the electronics and the way the bikes deal with traction and wheelie and everything like that. It's honestly easier to ride the bike at 100% throttle with almost max lean angle than having to feather it out and figure out where you are with traction. It's crazy. And the big misconception, though, is like, people think we have all these electronics, the bikes are easier to ride, but I mean, they're definitely safer to ride. They're not going to high side you, but because they're so good, you have to ride them that much harder, and it's physically tough. It's so hard, and that's kind of what I've been struggling with. I went through some arm pump surgery, got some maintenance, because they accelerate so hard, and the braking forces and everything are crazy, that you have to ride the bike extremely hard, where on the stock bike, with not having all that stuff, it almost seemed like it was a little bit easier to ride physically, because you're not, the acceleration force and the braking force isn't quite the same. But yeah, electronics are everything. We spend probably 90% of our weekend just focusing on electronics.
Yeah, that's great. I've seen it even in MotoGP. I think where the KTM has got it right is with the electronics, and you could see that by Brad kind of doing the Brad thing, and Jack sliding the bike more rather than this bike that's perfectly in line. And that's basically down to electronics tuning the engine braking and stuff.
I wanted to speak to Brad about that, because like, even watching, you see these guys touching front all the time, and I wondered if having that force separated a little bit and having the bike back in, and when he does it right, it comes back in line really smooth. There's no really snap back and putting all the weight on the front. I wondered if that really helped with front feel.
So Cam, let me tell you, I don't want to pat myself on the back here, but you will remember, because you saw the site quite a few times, of this Triumph, this blue Triumph in South African motorcycle racing, just going filthy sideways into every corner. Now, I know that's where you kids learn.
Yeah, Rob, you were the pioneer.
Listen, I don't want to pat myself on the back, but I just want you to tell the world. But anyway, what the point I'm getting to is, I could only ride a motorbike like that, and that's why I battle to ride modern day Superboy. When I go test a standard production bike, for the magazine, and just do a review, I battle, because the thing just wants to correct itself and go in a straight line in the corner. And I need to go sideways. I need to line up a corner, like Brad was kind of doing, like you saying. To me, a corner makes more sense, especially a tight corner like that at Jerez, to go in, scrubbing off the speed, almost like that, pointing it where you want and going. If I go into a corner normal, it just feels like I'm doing
yeah. And that's the thing that I'm actually working on now, is trying to find that fine balance, because I'm the same way. My supermoto background, dirt bikes, like, I've always preferred a bike that backs in a little bit, and I've been struggling with that a little bit as well, because it just seems like it takes away all the feel from the front.
But is it electronics? I mean, is that electronics holding you back, or?
Yeah, I mean, and it's just about adding a little bit more engine brake and trying to find that fine balance, because again, it's also, you can get the bike to back in, but it's also the way it comes back in line. Once you start to increase lean angle, it's the way it starts to put the throttle back in, and if it snaps back aggressively, then boom, tuck front. So it's again, it's a tough thing to find.
It is. And yeah, I think speak to Brad because they seem to have got it right after what we
Yeah,
saw at Perez
yeah.
last week.
Holy smokes.
You before we came on, and I didn't actually know this, to be honest. You were talking about your arm pump. You've just spoken about it now. You had arm pump surgery, and the arm pump's gone, but massive complications. I mean, you showed me your arm. You look like something out of RoboCop or something. So,
Yeah,
talk us through the complications that you've had.
yeah. So I've again, it's just one of those things set me back a little bit because normally on your average arm pump surgery, they say it's about 2 to 3 weeks recovery time, and I had a little extra. It's called a carpal tunnel release that they do on top of my arm pump surgery, and yeah, for some reason we had some complications, and I wasn't able to even ride my mountain bike. Or yesterday was the first day I was able to ride my dirt bike in almost 3 months, just because it's been so sore, and I could barely put any weight on my palm. So yeah, again, it set me back. Even at the Daytona 200, I went there 2 weeks after the surgery, and I could barely hold on to the motorcycle. I mean, it was the longest race I've ever done. I hated every second of it just because I was in so much pain. So I actually had to miss a test, preseason test, because of it, and yeah, it set me back quite a lot. But finally, everything feels good. Rode the dirt bike yesterday, and it eliminated the arm pump, which is something I've struggled with big time. And the last 5, 6, 7, 8 laps of the race have been a big struggle. So finally getting that out of the way, I think it's going to open up a lot more opportunity for me to push harder at the end of the races and be there.
In MotoAmerica, Cam, you've got these kind of general World Superbike longer races. You guys race on the Dunlop tires, which are well known for you might not necessarily have the Pirelli grip for the first 5, 10 laps, but you have pretty consistent grip throughout the whole long 20, 30 laps, whatever you guys do. Looking at MotoGP sprint races, these kind of shorter races, in South Africa, we always had two shorter races, and that was, because of budget and we didn't have time. We were sharing the track with cars and. But do you think that kind of format could maybe be looked at? I know British Superbikes have got two main races and a sprint race now, and MotoGP are introducing a sprint race. Do you think that's something that either a sprint race is introduced to MotoAmerica, or 2 or 3 shorter sprint races would maybe make? I mean, the last race at Road Atlanta was, it was spectacular. It was one of the best I've ever seen in my life.
I was so upset I wasn't able to be in that because
Oh no!
just from watching it looked insane.
Oh man, the only thing that was missing was a Cam Petersen, because I think you would have thrived in that situation. I think the Cam that would have thrown the worry, I think the Cam that needs to come out more often, that would have thrown the worry away, would have come out in that, because that's a Cam Petersen situation. And I saw it when we raced 600s. If it was kind of a calm, relaxed race, a Cam, it didn't spark you enough. A Cam needs almost like a pit bull fight. When we had those bashes with Ronan Kwame and everything, that's when a Cam Petersen always came in. I was like, but this kid was nowhere in practice and qualifying. And all of a sudden, now we're bashing bars and we're racing. You found 2 seconds, and now I've got to worry about this Cam Petersen. And I was watching and I thought, shit, man, a Cam would have fit in perfectly here. And I loved watching Josh Heron's comments afterwards on his YouTube channel, because he explained, he's kind of the bad boy, Josh Heron. You must watch his YouTube channel. You either love him or you hate him. But he watched it because he got a lot of crap, because people thought he was trying to sever Jake Gagne's head and all this kind of stuff. But I look at that and it was fantastic. But those are a bit more far and few and far between compared to throwing a sprint race in the mix. What is your kind of feeling on a sprint race?
Absolutely. And I think this year is going to be different, right? Because obviously Jake's done some damage the last few years. I mean, he's been riding away into the distance, and we've just said. And honestly, what Jake does so good is he puts pressure on us. So we know what he's going to do. And it happened last year with Danilo. Like, off of the start, Jake would get a good start. And then we were so worried to go with him. So then we started battling and passing each other on the first lap. And before you know it, Jake's got a second and a half on you in 2 laps. And you're like, well, here we are battling for second and third again.
Yeah.
But I know Wayne Rainey and Chuck and those guys, I think the reason why they have these longer races is to try to prepare their boys to go to the World Championship. But in terms of spectators and a fan wise, like having those short races where it's just a ding dong the whole way through, I think it's exciting. And we only race 9 weekends out of the year, so I would love to see some more racing. Like throw a little sprint race at it, and let's get some more laps. Let's get some more racing, because it's not a very long season for us, and I think it will just elevate everybody. And yeah, I mean, I would love to see a sprint race.
Yeah, I think Cam would come out in the sprint race properly. A question here from John McLaughlin. Question for Cam: do you SA boys who race in MotoAmerica hang out when not racing? Because it's a good question, because there is a ton of you guys there, or there was. I mean, at one stage there were Shares, Matthew, you, Dominic Doyle, Sam Lockoff, all those guys. You and Maddie, I know, are really close. But I mean, living wise, do you guys live close to each other? Is there any kind of relationship outside the race weekend?
Yeah, that's the problem. I mean, me and Maddie pretty much talk to each other every day, but he lives on the other side of the country, and America is so big that you can't just drive there, or it's a $800 flight to get there. So yeah, unfortunately, we just only get to really see each other at the races. But even then, like even with Dom and all those guys, as soon as we see them at the racetrack, it's like nothing ever happens. Like we've known each other our whole lives, and it's nice having a few other South Africans in the paddock, because when things are going tough or when they're going good, it's just somebody extra you can talk to and like almost have that trust with, So having Maddie and racing against Maddie has been massive, and just feeling comfortable in the paddock. And obviously being a foreigner, sometimes you feel that way, so it's nice having some South Africans in the paddock, and we can just be South Africans and hang out with each other.
Now, MotoAmerica's been a good kind of feeder class. I don't want to say feeder class, but it's been a class where some top talents have been picked. We've got Ben Spies, Cam Bobier, Jake Gagne has done some World Superbike riding, and obviously you're a top 3 name in MotoAmerica now, with the likes of Maddie. You proved last year dicing with and beating the likes of Daniele Petrucci, who was a MotoGP race winner. Has there been any talks of potentially looking to go to Europe, or is it still very much, let's focus on America, because the European thing is, again, it's now bring financial backing into it, as opposed to now where you can make a bit of money?
It's, again, Rob, it's tough. I mean, you know what racing's like, and that's why, like, I invite anybody in the world to come to America. They're going to struggle to beat Jake Gagne and Cam Bobier. They're going to struggle to beat those guys. I mean, the racing's as good as anything, and obviously, like, honestly, our tracks are pretty rough out here. There's, other than Coda and Laguna, most of them are pretty beat down, mid-vol type stuff. And so again, it even when you get the top guys in America, they go to Europe. No doubt, if you give them the right opportunity, right bike, with the right amount of time, they can be world champions. I truly believe that. But it's racing such a tough paddock, and something to stay in. Like even with Cam Bobier, what he did on the Moto2, to me, and me and Cam Bobier are pretty close, and I chat to him quite a lot, and people don't realize what he went through, and what was going on behind the scenes, and what he was able to do on that bike and on that team was incredible.
Yeah.
And if he had just had the opportunity to go race a MotoGP bike and do it for a year, because he's a way better big bike rider than a small bike rider.
Yep.
And trust me, I think he could have done some special stuff, So it's tough, and even for me, I'm 28 years old now. I'm not a young guy anymore. So obviously, being world champion's the dream. It always will be the dream, and it honestly comes down to the right opportunity, plain and simple.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, the days of going and chasing those opportunities have withered away. Like you said, if the opportunity comes, you'll definitely work and do everything you can to make it happen. But yeah, those days of, like you said, starving and having one smoothie a day, you've got to start, especially now with the family and everything that you're starting and everything that's happening, which we'll talk about later. I think you're in a good position. I think you need to make the most of that position, and I think you can. So people ask me all the time, and I see it commented on quite a lot, especially now when there's talk about Top Rack potentially leaving this, Yamaha World Superbike. Oh, Maddie and Cam should go there. Yeah, I would also love to see it, but it's not that easy, and it's a big transition, and there's a lot that goes on. As you said with Cam Bobier, I'm a massive Cam Bobier fan. I think Yamaha missed a trick by not putting him on their MotoGP bike. I really do. Even that year with Dovi in the RNF team, I think I sang his praises all the time. When people ask me, like now, even the current situation, what Cam Bobier, put Cam Bobier on that MotoGP bike and give him a couple of rounds, and he's a big bike rider. I'm a huge fan, and I'm a huge fan of all you guys in MotoAmerica, because I think it's proven, as you said, Dolores Baz came over to MotoAmerica, and did well and won some races, but he didn't run away with it. Daniele Petrucci came and didn't run away with it, and this is a guy that's still getting MotoGP wildcard rides, running top 10 in World Superbikes on a very competitive package. So, talking about that last year when Daniele came and you shoved it on his inside and passed, did you have those moments where you go, this is a MotoGP guy that I've just shoved it on the inside, goodbye?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, after some races, and it was mainly my dad that had to kind of remind me. He's like, who you're racing against, because obviously I want to win. So Jake won a lot again last year, and so me and Danilo, and Maddie, we spent most of the year battling it out, but I was still a little bit upset finishing second, third, or whatever. Like, I wanted to win, and my dad was like, you realize who you're racing against. Like, you beat this guy, you faster than him, and then every once in a while I had to take a step back and be like, that's actually pretty cool. But I mean, the goal's always to win. But honestly, that race at Laguna, when he stuffed me going to the corkscrew and I had to cut it, and I just, that'll be with me forever. Like, I'll never forget that. One of the coolest moments in my racing career, and to do it against a guy like that, I think made it even more special.
You need to think of those moments more often than not. When you're down in the dumps or you think you're missing something, just think of that, Cam, and you'll find that extra little bit, I'm telling you.
Oh, you're right, for sure.
A question, very important question from Ricky Hill. Do you need... Why are you laughing? Do you know that this is going to be
I can't wait to hear this.
Do you need someone to carry your helmet or hold an umbrella? I'm not pretty, but I'm lacquer.
Rick, I would like nobody more to be my right-hand man than you. We spoke about this. I'll try to get you to America, but you don't want to come here,
So Ricky, it's down to you now, my friend.
My man's got his commercial pilot's license. They're struggling here for pilots. We've had this conversation. So,
Ricky, it's up to you. You can even get a free Alpine Star jacket.
Yeah.
He just hands them out. He leaves them lying on club floors for people just to pick up and hand. I felt real South African there. Sorry, sir, you dropped your jacket. No, my little South African friend, you can have it. Oh, thanks. I loved it. Cam, let's just step away from racing for a second. Personal life, happily married to a beautiful woman. If you do hear a dog barking in the background, you've got a beautiful animal friend there with you, living the California life. How's the personal side going?
Honestly, Rob, it couldn't be any better. Finally, just life and everything has kind of turned around in the last 2 years, and we live in a nice little beautiful home, and my wife's incredible. My dog, like I said, even the area we're in now, I'm backed up to some mountains, and I get to go ride my mountain bike and have some of the best trails in the world, and playing golf with Jeremy Stenberg and those guys every week, and it's just life's as good as it gets. And even my in-laws, they live 2 miles down the road, and they treat me so good. Personal life, it couldn't be any better. Honestly, it's living the dream. Really am.
No, really. It's good. After listening to that story, and I promise you, I watched that Tenacity when you put it out, and did have the little, it was a struggle, but then seeing this happy, healthy Cam, yeah, it really is awesome to see, and I'm glad we could put this together because of those struggles that happened. So it's great to see. It's great to hear. And how's the rest of the family? Yeah, I know your dad's still very active in the paddock. Your sister, your mom, the whole Peterson
Yeah,
clan is there.
yeah. So my mom actually is in Australia at the moment.
So,
Her whole family's over there. Mom, dad, brother, sister, everybody's over there. So she's in Australia, which again, I think she deserves because she's been chasing
mm,
me and my dad around her whole life. So we're kind of like, hey, it's time for you to go spend time with your family and enjoy that. But yeah, Shay's actually on the board of AMA directors. I think first female, youngest person ever to be on the board of AMA. So that's a
jeez.
massive accomplishment for her. Um,
She
and yeah, my
bullied her way in
dad.
there, hey? She bullied her way in there. There's no doubt because she's a Jack Russell, that thing.
Yeah,
She's
yeah, yeah. No, and I'll tell you what, Shay. I think Shay's more passionate about racing than you
yeah,
or me. She
yeah.
is she is so passionate about racing and motorsports. So yeah, I mean, like I said, that's massive for her. And then yeah, my dad, he's just still kind of trying to find his way. He's worked in the paddock and being crew chief and done everything. And he kind of went to the dirt track side of things and was working for Essendon for a little bit. So he's in Kentucky, living in Kentucky at the moment, struggling with the weather and the wind and hating it. Um, but yeah, I think one thing for my dad is it's still a little bit heartbreaking. I just want to see him live the best life he can, and yeah, to see him working the way he is, he does it to himself though. Like he can't stop working, and yeah, I just want to see him find his feet and be in a good home and do all of that. And the one thing is, I know he's listening, and the one thing is, my dad is so good. He could manage and do anything when it comes to anything. Honestly, he undersells himself a little bit, and yeah, he just needs to again find that confidence, and he'll be just fine.
He has the same problem as you, my friend, that there's not enough belief there. Hey, dog, shush now.
Yeah,
There's Cam. I promise you, there's not enough belief there. And this is you forget that we're doing a live chat. This is mate to mate, person to person, critic, journalist, critic, speaking. There's not enough self belief there. And I promise you, I tell this to Jack Miller. It's the same problem. That there's all the talent in the world there, but it's almost this. I'm so lucky to be finally where I want to be. I must
yeah.
just.
And that's where it comes from. Is like we've always wanted to be humble, right?
Mm, mm,
You always want to be humble and come across as humble, and sometimes that can be taken as weakness,
yeah,
and yeah, sometimes unfortunately you have to be a little bit of a cocky asshole and tell people that you are the best, and yeah, I feel like that, especially with my dad, is he's so damn good at what he does, and he can do anything. So yeah, he just needs to tell people that he is the man.
you got to do that. You've got to. I've always said it's a fine line, and I saw it firsthand last year doing the amount of MotoGP races that I did. You see a different side of riders. Yes, you see the happy, smiley. I use Pecco Bagnaia as a reference. I can use Brad as a reference, but that's personal because I see a different personal
Yeah,
side to Brad, and I don't want to go expose that kind of to the world. That's kind of our thing at the racetrack and that. But Brad's got that cutthroat, almost an arrogant side. You have to have it to be a
yeah,
top rider. And I'm going to use Pecco as a reference. On a Friday, before the first session, Pecco Bagnaia will stop for every kid, smile, wave, happy, and he'll do it with this happy. Then from free practice one onwards, he still stops and does the signing that, but you can almost see this face changes, this arrogance comes out, and it's like, I am the fastest, greatest rider here. No one can stop me.
yeah,
And I can see some riders make that shift, and some riders, Darren, for one, he kept the nice guy out too much. Yes, there was this killer guy, Darren
yeah,
showed it once or well, more than once or twice, a lot of times in Moto 3, but not enough. And I see it with you as well. It's like you said, it's as humble. I'm just so grateful to finally be here. But you need to have that, you know what, effort. I'm Cameron Petersen, and I'm going to show the world that I'm one of the fastest or the fastest rider this goddamn planet has ever seen, and go for it
Yeah.
and commit to it. And I promise you, Cam, that was the difference between me and a Shares. There were races where I was just as fast as Shares on the same bike. I was just as fast as Shares, but Shares had always had this extra confidence about him. He trained more than I did, which gave him more. Shares kind of believed in the whole exercise a lot more than I did. I always look at myself in the past, and I was just happy to race and cool. Look at my new gloves, and I'm just happy to be a racer. But you need that. You know what? I'm going to go F shit up when I go out on this racetrack now.
Yeah. No, and I mean, you're so right. You see it, it's in every sport. Like all the greats, Tiger Woods,
Mhm.
and I'm a massive mixed martial arts fan and big, and even in that, you see all the guys that are the best, and they have that mindset, you
Mhm.
know. But it's like you said, it's tough because just this African boy coming to America, and I want everybody to like me, and so
Mhm.
it's tough to put that face on. But you're right. I mean, you have to have that side if you want to be great.
At Cam Petersen, I think I can't remember what year it was. That year that you were on that Kawasaki, that red Kawasaki, 17-year-olds, well, freaking super sport Pakisa, and just destroyed us all. I like that. Cam Petersen needs to come out because that Cam Petersen irritated the hell out of me because it just shouldn't have been there, and it wasn't allowed to happen. But he was there. But at the same time, Cam, you also need to be very proud of yourself. I know I've kind of like thrown this at you, and do better and believe in yourself more. You've done a fantastic job. A lot of guys have commented here on the side that they're so proud of you, and it's a great story, and it is a great story. But you can be very proud of yourself because, like you said, not many people get offered to ride in that team, especially um, outsiders. I know it's a very proudly American, type team, and for them to have the belief and to take you. And I saw it as well at Kota last year. That team loves you. That team believes in you. So to get that opportunity and to get where you are now is a huge, huge, huge pat on the back to you, the whole family, to everyone. And yeah, Jason Rothbone, Uncle Rob, wishing you all the best, mate. Cam, you're a machine, rooting for you all the way. So you must just understand the amount of support that you have. So you and Maddie and Dominic Doyle, all the South Africans around the world, when it's tough and you think, oh Jesus, what am I missing? Just think, you've got a whole nation, and you do. You have an entire nation behind you and supporting you. Never mind the American fans that you have now and the worldwide fans that you have now. Jaden Snyman, who's your favorite UFC fighter, Cam?
Volkanovski,
Well,
Alexander Volkanovski.
yeah, a little terrier as well.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's a good one. I like it.
yeah,
You look at Conor McGregor. I mean, we're talking about this arrogance and that. Conor McGregor was a great fighter. Don't get me wrong, but he almost beat his opponents before he even stepped into the ring with his cocky arrogance and the nature that when he climbed in there, you kind of almost thought, Jesus, this guy's going to destroy me. But because he put on that facade, and
yeah.
Valentino Rossi did that. That Valentino Rossi was the best at beating riders before they even got on track. Exactly
Yeah.
like what you said about Jake
He did
Gagne.
it. He did it with Max Biaggi, Sete Gibernau. I mean, he did it his whole career. Like those guys were
Exactly,
defeated before they did anything.
exactly what Jack Gagne is doing to you guys. He's beaten you at the start when he's got away from you. He's beaten you because now you've
Yeah,
gone, oh God, this guy's just going to run away. Rather than bugger this oak, I'm clinging on to the back of this oak, and it's hard now because he's your teammate and he's your mate, and he put you on his couch rent free for so long. So you
yeah.
can't just go
No,
shoving it on the inside, Brad Binder style.
yeah. No, and yeah, it is tough. And again, that's me, Maddie, and Jake. Maddie and Jake. They go back way back as well. They raced. Jake lived with Maddie and them in Spain when they were racing Moto2 and all that. So there are a few situations where it gets a little bit tough. Like, hey, that's one of my best mates in front of me, and yeah, it's tough. But at the end of the day, it's racing, and I do feel like we all have that respect for each other. We don't quite race each other as hard as we would other people, and yeah, whether that hurts us or not, who knows? It's tough, but that's one thing I'm working on as well. You know, even race 2 in Atlanta, going down the start, going into turn 10, there was one moment I was alongside Jake, and yeah, I could have let go of the brakes a little bit sooner, but I just held on to those things for a little bit longer than I needed to. But yeah, it's tough.
Yeah, it is tough. But Cam, let's look at the current stage. Being back in South Africa, we were just so happy when you got a new pair of gloves and some other guy's replica helmet. You are now racing in this factory Yamaha team, Alpine Star gear, Troy Lee designed helmets. I mean, it's like I used
Yeah,
to
with
and
Stark and Troy Lee, we actually so at the end of this year they're gonna have replicas sold worldwide available. Campy replicas. So yeah, like you said,
oh,
I mean that's it. I mean when I do take a step back and I look at the big picture, I mean it's as good as can be. You know, without being a world champion, it's as good as it gets. But um, yeah, and that's why just life and everything at the moment. I'm so happy and enjoying every second of it. So yeah, stay tuned. End of this year or pretty soon they're gonna have some replicas out for sale.
yes, I can't wait. And I'm in the UK now, so I'll get it. But I'll get a bunch and send them to South Africa because in South Africa you got to wait 4 years before anything happens there.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I can't wait for that. That is awesome news. But I mean, Troy Lee designs your helmets, dude. It's like
Well, I'm pretty lucky. You know, my wife, her godfather's Troy Lee, and yeah, my
yeah,
father-in-law, they best friends. So you know, got a little bit lucky there, and but yeah, like it's crazy to think that Troy's painting my helmets and Troy's in my corner. You know, he's sending me messages and phoning me all the time, and it's pretty crazy. It really is.
it makes all those hard times worthwhile, eh? When you kind of look at it now and you think, yeah,
Yeah,
it's
I'll do it all over again. Honestly, you know,
well,
just
yeah, we
just
go.
conditions. So
Yeah, exactly, dude. Jaden Stamen, awesome. You're the best, Cam. So inspiring to hear your story and how you have overcome everything that's been thrown at you. That shows such character. Rooting for you all the way. You're the man. Darren Mortimer, well done, Cam, and your amazing family. We are so proud of you and in your corner, bud.
well, like I say, I mean, I know I've been a little bit separated from home, and you know, just trying to sort my life out here, and I I, I see all the messages and the support from you guys. Honestly, means the world to me, and finally got my travel permit, so planning on coming back to South Africa at the end of this year and seeing everybody and maybe trying to find a ride and do the Cape Town 8 hour or do something like that. You know, that's I want to come back and just see everybody and yeah, see all those faces that I miss so much.
Dude, we've got plenty lined up for you. Then let's stay. We will definitely stay in touch. When
Yeah.
you're back there, we try and put on this SA Riders meet and greet every year at Ridgeway Race Bar, where we get all the riders. Maddie Skoltz has done it before. We've obviously had Brad and Darren and Shares. So yeah, let's stay in touch. SA fans would love to see you. Just make sure. Well, you'll probably get an arm pump on the evening from signing so many autographs. It will happen. You can ask Brad. Like when I mention it to Brad now, he hates me because he's just so tired of pictures and smiling. But it's so worthwhile because it's a great way to kind of just get to the South African fans, straight to the South African public. And then yeah, there'll definitely be loads of rides for you, bro. Yeah, come enjoy some riding in South Africa again. There'll be
That's
lots of
the plan.
teams
Yeah.
wanting.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
want to bring the missus out there, show where I grew up, and you know, just show everything. So that's the plan. Coming back to SA end of this year, come see everybody, and yeah,
good times, Cam. Well, you know what? Because you're in America, and it always does seem like it's another planet apart. I'm always looking for guests to put on my Talking MotoGP, and when I was talking to your dad, now I was like, I cannot believe I have not had Robbie Petersen on my Talking MotoGP show. It's like crazy. Even Dave, your uncle Dave. So now I've got the next couple of Talking MotoGPs are just going to be absolutely fantastic, and we'll definitely do a catch up with you again later in the year when you MotoAmerica champion, and I'll wear this jacket again, and I'll sell it on eBay for gazillions, and I'll buy myself just a replica Troy Lee design helmet signed by Cam with a nice message that says, "To Uncle Rob, you're the greatest. Thank you for teaching me how to go sideways." And I I'm playing out our future here, bro. I'm just playing out our future.
Wait. But yeah, I'm gonna say this on here so you can hold me to it. But if you ever need me, want to talk to me again, send me a message and I'll be on the next day. That's a promise.
Awesome. Dude, I really appreciate it. Everyone's absolutely loved it. This will be on our YouTube channel. I know we're going to get loads and loads of views because people are just going to be so excited to hear from you. Thanks for taking the time out. Please give your beautiful wife a nice big kiss from us, letting us have you for this time, and your dog. Even though you tried to rudely interrupt a couple of times, it's absolutely fine. I love animals.
He's a little bit upset because I haven't taken him on his 17-mile hike yet.
Well, you can go do that. You can go do that, bro. And again, thank you. And we are, I from a personal side, so proud of you. And just keep going at it and just enjoy it, bro. We've worked hard to get where you are. Just go and enjoy it, and just make the most of it. Just enjoy every second.
Yeah, that's the plan. And honestly, Rob, I always see your messages and everything. And yeah, thank you for everything you do for us South African riders back home and everywhere. It really does mean the world to us. So
we're all split now. I'm in the UK, you guys are in America. We've still got some South Africans at home. It's like we've just gone this full journey. But yeah, it's great that we can stay connected like this. And a big thank you to everyone for tuning in, everyone for the support, for Motor Rider World, for Cam, all the South African riders. And we'll just pop Maddie a message. Send me Maddie's number so I can send Maddie a message, and you can just say, Maddie, look, you've beaten Maddie. You've beaten Maddie because you've done this before he has. So you're a better rider already, and I'll tell you.
I was speaking to him this morning, and I told him, I said, no, I'm going to go chat to Uncle Rob, and he was like, oh shit, I better do that. Yeah.
Exactly, because he's another one that just never answers my message. I even spoke to his beautiful wife as well. I've spoken to his mom, and they're like, oh, we'll make it up. And then again, my side, life takes over and whatever. But yeah, send me Maddie's number. I think I have it, but I'd never know if I have the right number. Send me Maddie's number. Send him a message and say, Rob's the coolest thing that's ever been on this planet. You will talk to him at some stage.
No, and that's the thing. It's not really an interview. It's just chatting to a friend, So
that's all it is. If you want me to tell you how babies are made, I can do that right now. Because
I'm not planning on doing that for a long time. So.
Cam, it's been an absolute pleasure, dude. It's been great. So yeah, all the best, and we'll definitely catch up sometime soon. I'm gonna definitely get your dad. I'm gonna drop him a message. I know he's watching as well. Robbie, talking MotoGP next week, Monday after Le Mans. Robbie Petersen will be joining me. I'm gonna make that happen for sure.
Sweet, he'll love that.
Cam, thanks so much, dude. Enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll chat to you soon, man.
Yeah, appreciate it, Rob. Seriously, thanks for having me on, and I'll chat to you soon.
Cheers, everybody. Thanks so much.
Thank you.